Hey friends, welcome back to more Microsoft Flight Simulator Career Mode. Today we're going to be taking a small loop around downtown Seattle as well as some of the San Juan Islands because I want to show you a feature of Microsoft Flight Simulator that I've not really experimented with much yet. We're going to go into our options and under the General tab and then Data, we're going to go down here to Manual Cache. Now this is going to allow us to pre-download certain imagery for certain areas of the world. So we're going to go through. And step one, we actually have to go to where we need to go to, which is over here in the Pacific Northwest. And I already have a folder chosen on my computer where I'm going to store all of my imagery information. We're going to select Cache New Region. And now you're going to start to see a cache quality meter over here. So depending on your zoom level, that will determine the quality of the imagery that you would designate. So what I mean by that is if we're zoomed in all the way here, let's actually go up to downtown Seattle here. So let's zoom into downtown Seattle. You can see where the blocks start to break off into sub-blocks. So right there, that transition from the large block to the smaller blocks indicate that now we're at the high resolution or the high detail version of our imagery. So what I want to do is I want to say I want downtown Seattle to be the most high quality imagery I can have, especially if we're flying around in a Cessna and we really want to take a look at the sights. I want that to be nice, crisp, clear imagery. So I'm basically going to paint most of downtown Seattle at the high quality level. So that way it's actually, I believe, as you get closer, the game will render this information from your saved imagery folder as opposed to trying to download it fresh live while you're in flight. And this will hopefully prevent that problem. Remember, we flew over downtown Seattle before and we had a couple of monolithic problems where the hills, and I mean, it is a hilly place, but I don't think it's quite that hilly. I'm going to finish painting this kind of region here in the high quality cache. So as you can see, a lot of these squares are chosen to be high quality. Now, the higher quality imagery you're selecting, the larger that download might be. So right now, I basically have all of downtown chosen to be high quality imagery. I believe that our airbase, our newer base here, our newer airport rather, is, gosh, where is, oh, you know what? I think I can search for the airport. I can. Snohomish County. Awesome. So here's Snohomish County. We are up the coast here from Seattle. So because we come in and out of Snohomish County quite often, I want to have this as a pretty high quality area. So I'm going to paint the world and designate this all as high quality. That way when we take off, we're actually looking at the best satellite imagery available out there. This is probably going to result in a very painful download. So I'm going to probably record this and then like go away and eat lunch and take a nap and come back. So we're going to paint the world and kind of this high quality detail. Now we're at the medium level. So if we keep zooming out, you'll notice when it switches from the smaller boxes to the larger boxes. So this is pretty much pre-caching low quality, very small data. This is kind of average. So what we're going to do here is actually paint the rest of the region medium. So I want the San Juan Islands and the surrounding area to basically be pre-downloaded for me because we're going to fly around here quite often and you'll see it in the distance too. So even not directly going over these islands per se, you do want to have, I mean, maybe you don't, whatever you want, but I like to see relatively decent quality imagery. So I'm going to come up here to Victoria and I want some lovely imagery of Victoria. So I'm going to go ahead and do medium across most of the city of Victoria. On Vancouver Island, thank you very much. Only someone who's not well versed in Canadian history would mistake that to be Victoria Island, honestly, guys. We're going to go ahead and scoot up here on the coast to Nanaimo. I love Nanaimo. I talked about it before, and I stayed in Nanaimo for a little tiny bit. I love the little town here. I think this might be... Watch me say I love it, and then I get the wrong city. I'm fairly certain this is Nanaimo. Don't quote me on that, but I'm going to go ahead and paint a couple of areas, just city areas. I like to see cities at a higher quality level. So we could even come up here. I don't know what city this is up here. We'll paint this entire region as medium. I think that when cities have a higher image resolution, they tend to come alive a little bit more. Right, so there we go. We've painted a couple cities. We've painted a couple of towns and areas and islands. You're actually waiting for the game to refresh the imagery here. We'll come over here and do a little bit of painting over the San Juan Islands as well. Again, medium, because I don't want everything to be of mega high quality because that's just going to bring a massive painful download and I don't really want to wait for all that right now. So I've got most of the regions of interest for me. I'm going to do a broad painting here across the rest of the Seattle and Pacific Northwest area. So now I'm at the low quality level. So in theory, what this should do is as we're approaching any of these areas, it's going to load in the highest quality imagery that we've set down. So if we're getting near downtown Seattle, instead of trying to live stream the download or live download all of the imagery, it's going to rely on the cache, because it's going to say, oh, hey, the pier, you know, or the Space Needle, we're coming up on the Space Needle. Well, the Space Needle belongs to a certain tile, and that tile has been designated as being pre-cached. So it's going to rely on that cached information as opposed to getting it on the fly. So we're going to go ahead and just keep painting a couple areas around Seattle, because we're going to fly in and out of here quite often with our virtual airline. I'm going to come back and show you the final result. In fact, let's also pick up a little bit maybe more detail here around is this Mount St. Helens? I think it is. Help me out, geographers. We'll go ahead and make this medium as well. You know, honestly, this looks like it's pretty good. This seems like it's a pretty decent amount of area. We've got a large section of the Pacific Northwest up here. So I'm going to go ahead and name this as PAC-NW, and we're going to see how painful this download's going to be. Okay, so as you can see, this is already starting to look like a pretty rough download. I probably have a couple, I don't know if it's couple hundred gigs or not. Again, this is going to depend, number one, on your storage, and number two, on your patience, right? Because it might, oh God, 21 hours? Really? Please help me. But it's going to depend on your patience a little bit in part. But I'm going to let this download, because we are going to be flying in and out of the Pacific Northwest quite often. You know what, real quick, while we've got a little tiny bit of time, last episode, if you've been following along with this career mode, I'm going to go ahead and mention this really quick. At the end of last episode, we were talking about managing Odin Airlines, right? We talked about managing our company more directly than I had been in the previous episodes. Just to follow up to that, to let you know where we stand, last time we rented, we have a good mix of aircraft here. We've got a Cessna sitting around. This was our fuel rescue plane. Our TBM, remember our TBM was doing a bunch of work orders in and around the Orcas Eye area, and he's actually completed almost all of the work orders except for this final little stretch here going up into Vancouver. So our pilot will take care of pretty much, that's doing one of the two jobs that were already assigned to us. So the one of the level 2 missions is already done. The other level 2 mission they're finishing up right now. Alrighty, my friends, the data has been downloaded. It actually wound up just being about 4 gigs or so of data, of map data. So I'm looking forward to seeing how everything looks here. We are, of course, at Payne Airport to the north of Seattle, and we're in a Cessna 152. Now, we did actually have a Cessna 152 rented in On Air, so I don't feel like we're abusing the system too much. I'm not going to make a flight in On Air, but I did want to at least try to keep the same plane that we already have. The reason I'm going to be using the 152 for a little bit of sightseeing is because of the very low airspeed that's required to maintain your altitude. That's going to let us basically be tourists a little bit longer. Now, of course, we'll try to make this flight realistic-ish, but we are going to be below the safe minimums that normally would be in place over a city, right? So we're going to do a little bit of the fun stuff that you can do in a simulator that you really can't do in real life. Hey, is that the pitot right there, the pitot tube? That's a good representation. If you've never seen that before, whenever we keep talking about the pitot heat here, that should be, I believe, the little tube that has sensors in it that measures the wind speed and certain items that can help you basically make your decisions as a pilot. So nifty, nifty stuff. Let's see, the 152, it's been a hot minute since I have been in here. I think I've normally been in a Cessna 172. But first things first, let's verify that our parking brake is on. Of course it is. We're going to go ahead and go mixture rich. And I think there's a little fuel control thing down here. We're going to open the fuel shutoff valve, turn our electricity on in the aircraft. Go ahead and turn on our landing lights and all of our nifty nav stuff. Hello, friend. Don't step into our turbine. Clear prop area. Awesome stuff. We're going to go ahead and fire up after we prime the engine. We'll go ahead and fire up the engine. Survey says, hey, awesome. First time. GG, good win. So this will be kind of fun. We are coming from very instrument, or I should say electronic instrument heavy aircraft. So going back to a more traditional instrument style is going to be kind of fun. Now, there is a concept in flying called scanning. And this idea is that you're supposed to scan your instruments in a certain way after a certain period. Now, I don't really know the hard and fast rules. I might even Google it after as we're heading down south a little bit so that I give you some accurate information. But the idea is that you can't always trust your naked eye just looking out at the horizon, because you can drift very easily, especially in a very small aircraft that is susceptible to, natural forces like the wind, right? So we can get blown off course. We might not pay attention that we're climbing just a tiny bit. So our climbing speed might be going up a little bit, and we might not even be noticing it. So some fun stuff to keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead and queue up on the radio conversation with ground to get our taxi information. I also turned the assist on for taxi because we're so far away. There's so many like little taxiways here at Payne Field. I don't want to get lost. So I'm cheating a little bit. Okay, friends, forgive me. We'll do a more realistic in-depth flight, probably with our TBM again a little bit later on. Holy crap, look at all these taxiways. Charlie Juliet Hotel Alpha 7, Alpha 10. Get out of here. Go home. So this is an option under the escape menu, assistance, navigation aids, and taxi ribbon. You know what we should do one day? We should set up some failures to happen in flight. That would be really fun. Fun with air quotes, right? We should do that. Yeah, we're going to do that in one of our future flights here. I won't even tell you which flight. Oh, that'll be fun. Although it's probably going to be the next flight. Not going to lie, I'm not very good at waiting for fun things. All right, we have our taxi instructions. Let's double check a few things here. We got our taxi lights on. We've got our fuel mixture set to, what's this button do? Set to rich. I'm not really going to go crazy in depth with anything else. I'm just trying to make sure I don't get out of here and suddenly blow up the aircraft. We'll go ahead and release the parking brake. It's a little bit tight behind us here. So I'm actually just going to go forward by the hangar. Hey, buddy, you may want to duck. Get down, Mr. President. Smack. Look, it's not our fault that they all decide to sit there right in front of the aircraft, right? Okie dokie. So we're coming to a short here right in front of runway 234. 34, not 234. Let's tune Payne Tower and request takeoff clearance, VFR. It's a beautiful day outside, so we shouldn't have any issues. It's either beautiful or the weather's not working again, so I can't tell. Awesome stuff. A couple of you have posted in the comments of the previous videos that the Pac Northwest has had some amazing weather the last couple of weeks. So maybe this is true. Maybe this is how good it is. All right, radios are all set. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a notch of flaps. I don't remember the rotate speed of the Cessna. Probably somewhere around, what, 70 knots or so? That might be it. I'm trying to remember just offhand. I did fly a lot in the 172 back in Microsoft Flight Simulator X because of... Again, I keep forgetting these companies, these wonderful companies that make all of these plugins for aircraft, but one of them had such an incredibly detailed Cessna 172. It was so cool, and so I flew that all the time. But yeah, I feel like it's probably around 70 knots or so, but we're going to go ahead and do a normal takeoff. I'm not going to cover too much about our flight to the south. I will talk about scanning in just a little bit, but we will keep an eye on... I love this view. You're able to see right over the cowling and all of your instruments all in one, which is pretty great. 60 knots and 70 knots. Let's go ahead and pull the stick back. Really nice and gentle takeoff. Now, the Cessna 152, of course, is a fixed gear aircraft, so we're not going to be able to retract the gear or anything like that. Let's go ahead and get to 100 feet or so, and then we will retract the flaps a bit. Let's not go into our parking lot. But you know what? Are we at Boeing? Is this the capital... the HQ of the Boeing development for Boeing 747s. I'm pretty sure I literally learned this in my geography class of all things, but I'm fairly sure that this is near Everett, Washington is where Payne Field is. So I think Everett is where the capital of Boeing is, and I think all of these aircraft here are all their aircraft. Like, I think that's the massive Boeing warehouse right over to the side here. So that's pretty nifty stuff. All right, I'm going to go focus on the aircraft instead of all the scenery around me. Let's go ahead and trim for climb. All right, and we're going to go ahead and make a nice long left-hander away from the runway back towards the reciprocal of our heading. You know what? Do these graphics look better to you? That looks a lot better to me. Does it look better to you? I wonder if we're already seeing the benefits of having the data locally on the computer. Now, we're pretty far north of downtown, so this is not in the area that I had designated as high-quality imagery. But this might be the medium quality. This looks really good. I mean, they even got like a little, I think that's literally a pit. Okay, that looks a little bit funky, but never mind. But, I mean, okay, don't look too close, friends. Don't look too close. Some of the houses start to get funky. But the trees especially look a little bit better than they have in the past. Now, farther away in the near distance, you can start to see some of that weird, sorry, I can only control the stick and my mouse separately. But you can see some of that weird graphical speed tree thing going on, where the trees don't quite load in, but as we get closer, everything will start to kind of load in there. We're still at 80 knots, and our flaps up. There goes the flaps. Probably left those for a little bit too long. It's gorgeous out there. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. So the concept of scanning, by the way, the idea is that you're supposed to be scanning your instruments every few minutes or seconds, I believe. And generally you do it in a pattern. It might not always be clockwise. I guess it depends on which instruments, but we definitely want to make sure we always check our airspeed so that we're not overspeeding and we're not coming close to a stall. You want to check your attitude indicator. Attitude is basically your angle relative to the horizon line in a rough way. So that is what this indicator is. This is basically our attitude, not how sassy we're feeling, but how much the aircraft is pitching up or down. Of course, we are showing also our altitude, the flight clock, vertical speed up and down here. This is also really important, especially if you're, trying to learn as a private pilot. This is, to me, the more challenging one, is making sure that you don't accidentally climb above or below your target altitude. And it's not always as easy as just setting the trim. Isn't there a trim wheel? Where's the 152 trim wheel at? Ah, built into the dash there. So yeah, you can trim for basically maintaining steady flight, but you'll always kind of go up and down a little bit. That's why you scan. So you scan to double check that it looks smooth, right? It looks like we're staying nice and level, but if you notice, one wing might be dipping a little bit above or beyond the horizon line. So that might indicate that we're slightly, ever so slightly, angled off to the left a tiny, tiny bit. So just stuff like that will help us keep the plane in the right area and the right, attitude and the right heading. So we are going towards almost 170, I think, is our current heading. So that's going to take us basically southeast into downtown Seattle. So I'm going to go ahead and just, yeah, pretty much fly this heading for a while. Off in the distance, I believe that is Mount St. Helens. Ignore the monolithic trees again. And we're going to be going down towards the Space Needle. So we will be doing a bit of a tour around downtown Seattle. Hopefully we'll be able to come through and see Pike Place Market, a couple of the piers down there, and obviously the downtown area itself. All right, friends, we're about 5 nautical miles away from downtown. So you can see the Space Needle there in the distance. This looks really, really good, actually. Now, this should be the height. Well, okay. Again, it looks good at a glance, but as soon as you start looking into it, it's like looking behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. You start to see the illusion fall apart. It definitely has a city vibe, obviously, but again, we're still seeing a lot of that weird... yeah, downtown Seattle is full of monoliths. I'm wondering, how do we fix this permanently? Is there a way to rely on manual data as opposed to... Let's see, real quick, let me go to my options before we get right into downtown. If we go into the data, the manual cache, we can't view it right now, but do we have to turn the rolling cache off in order to rely on the manual cache? I imagine they work together in order to give you the best kind of... visuals available, but who knows? I'm not really super familiar with it. But as we come into downtown Seattle, I'm going to actually go ahead and lower our power just a bit. And we're going to go ahead and lower in elevation as our altitude as well. So we're coming up on one, I think on the right there is one of the many cruise terminals available. There is another cruise terminal that's down here closer to Pike Place Market, I think. Right down in the waterline, right about there. I think on the left side, that is the Aurora Bridge to our left. And then I think there's another one, which is the Ship Canal Bridge, because there's like a little tiny canal. I don't know how this works, to be honest with you. I really wish the graphics would load better, though. Look at that. You can see a lot of that monolithic type of building stuff in the distance. So maybe there's a setting that I'm really just not familiar with. Or maybe we just have to overfly downtown Seattle to force all the models to load at least once. And then everything would be kind of nice and hunky-dory. But either way, I'm excited to fly over Seattle. It's going to look pretty nifty. Once we get a little bit closer, I'm actually going to trim myself for flap flight. We're going to extend our flaps and slow down a bit to see if we can't spot some interesting sights here. In fact, we are coming up on... Is there like a phrase for that entire area of where the Space Needle is? I can't honestly quite remember. There's a bunch of interesting buildings in here. The Seattle Center's in here somewhere, the Space Needle, the Chihuly Gardens in Glass. There's a Pacific Science Center that I remember going to. There's something called the Armory over here as well, which is almost like just a big, I don't know, it's not even a mega mall per se. Let's go ahead and put some flaps out. Let's slow down a little bit. Well, we are going to be slowing down because of the flaps. Let me trim my flight to counteract the climb. We're going to just start a nice, slow, steady left turn. Very, very cool. Yeah, the graphics look okay from far away. The art building here got absolutely butchered. Now, I think that's a music or art building. Obviously, there's the Space Needle. Let's double check that we're not about to fly into any buildings. Awesome. Somewhere along there is the hotel I stayed at a couple rows back last time I was in Seattle. Oh my God. Is that a ship upside down, or is that the giant Ferris wheel? I think that's the Ferris wheel, or supposed to be the Seattle Ferris wheel. Oh my gosh, the lower we get, the worse this looks. Do not look directly at the sightseeing stuff, guys. Holy cow. Yeah, I don't even know. Oh no, there's been massive flooding along the Seattle waterfront. Somebody call the rescue party. Oh no. A huge travesty. The piers are flooded. They're in shambles right now. This is so crazy. I love this. I absolutely love this. What have I done wrong with my settings? What have I done wrong to the flight gods that I am being punished by these models? That's unfortunate. I love that tiny little parking area. Looks like it's about to be completely flooded. Let's go ahead and power up and climb over the stadium here. We're gonna go ahead and make a banking turn in a minute back towards downtown. Double checking that I'm not about to stall into downtown. Of course, like we said before, is this legal to fly this low? Of course it's not, but we're gonna have some fun. I was gonna say and see the beautiful sights, but I'm a little bit bummed. Even with the fact that I've got the data packs on, we're not really seeing an improvement in the imagery, which is kind of interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and release my flaps once we get over this tree line because we're a little bit too slow for my liking. Might have cut that a little bit too close. News at 11. Random pilot flies into trees near the downtown Seattle area. Locals said he was showing off on stream. All right, let's go ahead and get a little bit of altitude. That's unfortunate. I really wish we could have some really, really high quality imagery here. I would love to see, especially if we could slow the game down a bit. I need to buy a helicopter. That's what we need. We need some helicopters so we can do some really nice slow tours of downtown Seattle. That looks like a neat little church. What is that church, friends? Friends of Seattle. What church is that? I have no idea. I like how easy it is to always get a reference for where you're at in Seattle at any given point because of the Space Needle. Let's see. So I stayed at, when I was here last time, we stayed at a little spot that was like a block away from the Space Needle, which was kind of cool. So we stayed across the street. Somewhere like right around here was our little hotel. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation building is somewhere down, I believe, this street. Either this one or this one. It's a cute little city, though. The Armory, like I said, these buildings over here, this is all kind of part of one big open park. And when we were here, it was like the first nice weather of the season. So like everyone was out and about, which was really cool. There is a cool little science museum for kids, but we totally went in there as adults to have some fun. And I think there's an aquarium in here somewhere as well. I think the aquarium actually is back towards the other direction, if I remember right. Let's go buzz a couple of cruise ships and see if we can't scare any passengers. Couple of tankers there. Can we identify the cruise line? Oh God, no, we cannot. It looks like a boat made out of paper mache is what it looks like. That's a hot mess. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't really know about this about the settings for your high quality imagery. I really thought we'd have a nice view and everything would be nice and crisp. I blame Bing, okay? This is what happens when you use Bing data. We're gonna go ahead and do one more pass of the waterfront here, and maybe we'll kind of continue our pass on down to the Seattle-Tacoma airport. Let's actually see if we can tune in to Seattle-Tacoma as we cruise towards downtown in a threatening manner. Let's go ahead and request a landing. We'll just go ahead and do landing here. Full stop landing at Seattle-Tacoma.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is 10 miles north with India to land.
I'm like, my hands are crossed trying to control my mouse and my joystick at the same time. 3-4 left. Awesome. We're coming up. Have to go underneath the airport and kind of come back. We'll go buzz a few of the cargo ships here. Always entertaining.
Fly left downwind runway 34 left Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
God, this looks like a mess. Look at these cranes. What I really appreciate is that the water level really does look like a low-key tsunami just hit, right? And it's just a little bit high. The water level is just a little bit higher than it should be everywhere. Like everywhere looks like it's about to flood or it is in the process of flooding. That's great. All right, I'm going to go ahead and climb out of this too close for comfort kind of a dive. Hey, that's cool. Are these some actual... These look like they're... oh my gosh, Coast Guard, right? For a second, I thought they were actual destroyers. Hey, the USS something. I think I said U.S. Coast Guard there on the back. A couple of U.S. That must be a U.S. Coast Guard base right there. That's pretty nifty. Well, as we can see, lots of people in the air around Boeing International, which is kind of cool. Lots of players, also lots of other traffic. I meant to show you that on the screen before we started our flight, but I kind of just jumped into the plane instead. But I'll go ahead and run. Hey, look, there are some clouds in the distance there. I will go ahead and pass up Seattle, Tacoma, and we'll just do a visual flight approach on runway 34? 34 left. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just skip around the runway just a bit. Hope that was okay, folks. I mean, you know, I wanted to see, really, it was mostly a test to see what the imagery would provide for us. I mean, some of the imagery looks really good. Now, this is surprising. See, over here, this looks much more clear-cut, right? Doesn't this look much better than the imagery we had a little bit ago? Look, people are even driving their cars on the road. I mean, that's a huge... I'm hugely impressed by that alone. Yeah, lots of nice areas here. The housing doesn't look too terrible from kind of this high-up view. So that's interesting. It's like downtown Seattle just struggle buses a lot. But everywhere else, though, like even far away, we've got some pretty good imagery here. So who knows, friends, who knows? It could be bugged out. It could be... There's a way that to control the data that I'm just not really familiar with. So if you know the secret, please do share, my friends. All right, so as we are running parallel, basically, I'm not sure if we're in the right downwind or not. We are going... Enter left traffic, runway 34. How does... I don't remember the traffic patterns. That was something in ground school that it's been so long ago that I completely forgot. So basically, you're supposed to, when you enter a pattern, there's basically a pattern. If you've got a runway, if you've got a runway here, think of a rectangle on either side of the runway. And there's certain phrases. So you might, if you're going down, away, or I guess against the flow of the airport, you're running downwind. So there's downwind, there's cross, there's base, upwind. Gosh, I'm going to be getting all these positions confused. But yeah, a quick Google search. Look for pattern entry or flying pattern instructions. That'll give you a nice guide to better understand how to enter a left downwind. So when they tell us to enter a fly left traffic, so here we go, fly left downwind runway 34, I thought that means we're supposed to run to the left of, I guess I'm on the wrong side, right? Would it be the left of that runway? So in theory, that's runway 32 down there, which is our target. Really? 32? Is 34? That has to be 34. Surely. But wouldn't that be... I'm at the wrong airport. I wasn't even going to this airport. Anyways. But wouldn't it be the left side of that runway as it was pointing down? So in theory, if we're doing left downwind, we should be on the other side of Seattle, Tacoma. And then we go down, and then we cross base, I think, and then we're going to be going on our final, which is heading back towards the runway. Like I said, folks, it's been a long, long time since I've done any kind of actual flight training. So I don't want to give you, like, inaccurate information, but look, a Google search will give you all the info you need. Hi there. Is that a pilot? That has to be a player. That looks way too low and way too off-center to be anyone other than a pilot, a player pilot. You normally don't see Boeing 747s this low unless they're on approach or takeoff. And I'm pretty sure that they're taking off and landing on runway 34. Well, I don't really want to cross the path of approach. So I've got the wrong kind of downwind probably. I think I've got the wrong side. I'm going right downwind as opposed to left downwind, I think. But we'll go downwind either way. We're not going to go across the entry, the departure area. I don't want to cross into any traffic. So I'd rather be wrong and safe than correct and, you know, colliding with a friend here in the air. Is this really the weather you guys have right now? I am supremely jealous. What's the temperature outside? Where's my my outside temp? Oh, I don't know. I can't read all the gauges. There's 1,000 gauges and I don't know them all. It's cool. That's what I'm going to say. It's cold outside. Feels good. Feels happy. Yeah, I can't tell. I'll just stick my thumb out the window to really get a sense of how cool it is. But look at that. Beautiful skies. A little bit of fog here. Low-level fog right towards or heading towards Mount St. Helens. Are there any players taking off here? Number 2 for landing. Ooh, it's a pretty active airport, actually. I was playing the other day as just flying around, messing around, showing my wife the game, and I was coming in for a landing, and it told me to follow the traffic, and I think I was in a really slow aircraft, and there was a Boeing 747 on approach, and they overtook me in mid-flight, like mid-approach. It was terrifying. I think I almost pooped my pants a bit. You don't expect to be passed by a Boeing 747 behind you, but you know, hey, that's what happens sometimes. Yeah, little Cessna should not be landing middle of the day. There's a guy on YouTube that does some pretty fun videos. I think it chronicled his entire career approach through flying, basically from ground school or getting his private pilot's license, I should say. And I think one of his videos, maybe it was another flying person's videos, but they showed you how to do an approach to a very large international airport at night. So they basically pre-scheduled themselves for arrival in a little tiny, you know, a little tiny sport plane, super late at night so that it wouldn't harass anyone, basically. Are we XGS?
Follow the aircraft on final. Wind 060 at tree.
There's like 17. Oh, that was us. There's a bunch of aircraft on final here. What are you telling me to do here? We're not even lined up on final yet.
Cleared to land, runway
Clear to land.
Left number 2 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Left number 2. You're taking off there, Mr. Lights in the distance. That or it's a UFO. Number 2 to land. I don't see any other aircraft on approach. Oh, there's one. You are way the heck out there. So that's one. I think the other one just landed. So I think we can actually fit ourselves in. Hello. Are you taking off or landing? We got pure chaos at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. This is what happens when players are let out of the box. All right, I guess we're going to turn in for our final here. I'll go ahead and add a notch of flaps. I believe the person, the 747 there somewhere that we saw. Once again, I'm eternally too high. You are way high up there, buddy. Are you not? Oh, God. Oh, God, look up. Wave off. Wave off. Go round, go round, go round. No, we got to see what happens. Oh, no. Better love story than Twilight. 2 Boeing 747s together forever. Oh, no. that caused the other pilot to freak out. Oh, my gosh, what a hot mess. How do they have 3 runways here? What in the world? What do you call the middle runway? 34R? 34M? Which runway? We're supposed to be at 34 left. I don't know what this other runway is. Are there 2 34 lefts here? Sorry, guys. We're landing in all sorts of a funky way. Look, it's a field day, okay? All of our friends are here. No one seems to care. Oh, it's 34E? Well, this is where we're landing at. You can see other players to my right. Go around. God bless it. All right, we're going to acknowledge the instruction. Go around, go around. Smash the power, raise the flaps. Look, I was in the wrong spot anyway, so it's really not their fault. How many of us are there? Oh my God, the ATC is all sorts of screwed up right now. This is great. We should just fly around Seattle-Tacoma an entire episode just to see the chaos that's going on. Let me see, there's a couple more pilots just freaking out. There's somebody on the taxiway. This is great. This is pure comedy. Clear to land. He gave me clearance right after he gave me a go-around. There's some random person in a twin engine. There's one of our 747 friends. There's a private pilot who's lost and afraid. Oh no. Let's go ahead and cut over here. I'm going to cut over the active runway because, you know, hey, that's what we do at Seattle-Tacoma. You know, I've actually been curious. How do we join a multiplayer session? Do you guys know about that? I've not experimented with this whatsoever, but I have seen a few videos from Air Force Proud. He was just kind of messing around, I think, with a stunt plane. I'll have to see from the main screen. I think that would be kind of fun, just to muck about. Also, if Microsoft Flight Simulator ever actually gave people the ability to do the air traffic control stuff without having to use a third-party plugin, I think that would be super fun. So, by the way, the central runway was marked as E, which was interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a 3-runway or a 3-runway situation at any airport. So that was kind of curious. You're landing at the wrong runway, my friend. I mean, hey, I can't speak. I just did the same thing. Oh, that's pretty nice. That's a pretty nice, cozy landing. That might actually be a real AI-piloted plane. The ways that you know whether it's an AI plane or not. Number 1, is it landing and did it land successfully? Yes, probably going to be an AI. If it bounces all over the place, more than likely it's going to be a player. All right, so we still have landing clearance, I guess, which is awkward, since we were given a go-around command and then told that we could land. Looks like there is another aircraft on final. That's probably Alaska. There's nobody on final right now, man. That's not. I think that should be us. I think that's the Alaskan. We're going to go ahead and cut in behind the Alaskan and completely ignore anything called wake turbulence. Because if you didn't know about this, basically, whenever a 747 or a large jet will land or take off on a runway, it leaves behind a lot of turbulence in the air because it disrupts the flow of air. Now, I'm not, again, this is my information is like quasi from a very low level of understanding, but it can mess with the way the air flows over your wings, I believe. So it can cause a lot of problems in maintaining lift. So generic aircraft are also are always given warnings. I mean, other jets are giving warnings too, but generally speaking, I should not be following a large 747. What is going on down here on this runway? I'm not going around again, guys. We're going to pretend we're out of fuel. This is a pan. We better land right now. I will declare an emergency. You will get your booty off this runway. This is my runway. I think this guy's actually been sitting here for quite a while. Good old Boeing on 3-4 left. Hey, he gave me final clearance. Let's see if anyone's running up to our butt here. Nope. That's nice. That's right, number 2 for landing. What a hot mess this is. What a hot mess. This is great. It's the first time I've ever really gone to an active... No, I'm not going around, damn it. I refuse. I refuse to go around. We're going to make this happen. Everyone else gets to land, but I don't. Screw that. We're going to say hello. Okay, let's see if we can just terrify our good friends here. Is that Spirit? Hey, buddy, how you doing? Oh, it's a ghost plane. Beautiful. They go around. Normally, if the aircraft in front of you, a little bit too much of a flare there. Oof, that's going to bounce. If the aircraft in front of you is still on the runway as you're on your final... Yes, I was cleared to land. Shut up. Stupid OneDrive. But yeah, if the aircraft in front of you has not quite cleared the runway and you're very close to your final, you will, of course, get a go-around order, which is pretty nifty. There's still somebody actually on approach, too. It's terrifying. If you're trying to get off the runway and there's a big 747 coming on in. Yes, I was. Shut up. I was so clear to land. You gave me the order. I'm going to acknowledge my go-around order. All right, friends. I think this is a pretty short episode compared to what we normally do. But I did want to try out this manual data cache thing and see if it makes any difference or not. Next episode, we're going to focus on finding some more fun flights for Odin Airlines. We are continuing to save up a bit of money here. We'll, oh hush. We're going to take a quick peek at our company as I taxi right into the back of the 747. We're sitting at 343,000. Our big flight. Remember, if you watched the last video, our plane would be getting blown all over the place, wouldn't it? We would have, or we do have, excuse me, sir, I'm going to go ahead and pass you on the right here. We do have a flight being scheduled with 2 of our pilots. Yeah, no kidding. We have a flight scheduled with both of our pilots in the King Air. And the King Air is actually going really, really far away to deliver 2 passengers. So that should be a pretty worthwhile mission. I hope this player watches this video. Whoever you are, my friend, if you saw yourself getting passed by a little tiny Cessna, just realize that you got wrecked. Hashtag 360 no scope. 360 no scope, no glide scope. All right, folks. I appreciate you guys as always. Sorry for the little silly kind of a video, but we're going to have a little bit of fun here and there. We'll get back to some super serious videos very, very soon. Let's double check that this runway is not active. I'll pretend that I'm trying to be somewhat safe. There is somebody on final right there, too. I can see the lights on the wings. What a hot mess this airport is. Never landing and taking off from Boeing or Seattle Tacoma ever again. Next episode, we will focus on doing some more cargo or passenger missions. A couple of you folks have suggested that we look into the Cessna citations and the longitudes, and I definitely think we're going to get there for sure. They seem like some really fun aircraft that I want to play around with. They can make you a lot of money on passenger runs, so I'm definitely going to be looking into that in the near future. But for now, we are continuing to try to save some money so we can purchase our own aircraft for Odin Airlines. More than likely, I don't know. I'm still debating whether our first purchase should be a big, you know, Citation or like a twin engine kind of King Air, or maybe we just stick with the TBM, what we know and what we love, right? So I think we're all. Did we cause them to go around, by the way? We might have caused them to go around. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video very much. As always, please do leave a comment and like the video, because that kind of stuff helps in the search results. As always, and if you guys do want to support this type of content creation, please do consider looking into the Patreon information below, because this is basically what I'm doing right now, because, hey, turns out COVID sucks and there's no job market. So this is what you get from me, my friends. Silliness on the YouTubes. Also, be sure to join us over on Discord. This flight is a complete mess. We're going to get hauled into someone's office. Our private pilot's license is going to be stripped. We might even be punished physically with how bad today's flight went, but that's okay. It was more of a fun mess around kind of a flight, but I will see you guys again in the next episode. Like I said, if you want to join us in Discord, please do hit the link below this video in the more description field. Until next time, friends, take care of yourselves, fly safe, and I'll see you then.